Hey there guys, it's Kane and I like to paint minis. And recently I've gotten a commission to paint these ghouls and we're going to be picking one out of the bunch. And we're going to slap some pigment on it and give it a whirl. It's going to probably do some interesting concepts here. We can just slide that box open. Perfect. And once we crack it open, we're going to see what we have to work with because there's a couple of options you can see here on the back. Got a couple little ghouls there. And I will be trying to do multiple parts if I can, because I think today I'm just going to be picking out one. And that miniature that I'll pick out is probably going to be one of the easier ones because I do not have a lot of resources available to me right now. So let me dig through this pile real quick and I'll try to find one that'll work. I decided to choose the plump green boy because he is plump and he is green and he will work well with the colors that I have available to me right now. If we get him on his stand and get him set up, we can start by just these are just a easy way to mark it here. Just as you shear it off, it's a little bit cleaner. And once we get it shaved off, we can just simply add a coat of primer, just like this. Now that we got our primer, we can work on trying to figure out what shades of color, starting off with a nice War Boss green. Of course, this is a War Boss, and if I just sit down and I paint an entire coat, it might take a little bit longer than I thought. I can start with the torso at least, getting a darker shade, and actually, no, this is taking too long. I'm just going to splatter on some green here, get a nice base coat, and I might as well implement some magic into it because I am Wizard Kane after all. Kerblamo. Alakazam. Wow, it worked. That's so amazing. The magic of editing. Terrific. Now that we got a nice base coat of green, I'm going to start with some of the highlights using this moot green. This is a little bit of that higher radiation color that'll allow us to make this poor soul look straight out of a radiated zone, possibly even the city of Adam, maybe. And the ghouls of Fallout originate like all the way from the first games. As you see a couple of them throughout the Wasteland. It's just any individual who was either experimented on with high doses of radiation or obviously was exposed to the nuclear blasts of the war. But as we get this nice highlighted coat, I'm just going to focus on around the main highlighted areas such as the stomach, the back, the booty, face, and some of the higher points like the arms and the legs. I'm cutting out some of this here because whenever I was recording, it seems to have loved showing my thumb here, as you can see. And, although I have great thumbs, great enough to have two of them, it's not the prettiest sight in the world of recording. Of course, these highlights are going to emphasize that green, gross radiation that you see pretty often. With a couple more coats, I think I can start by adding on, oh yeah, right here, the legs as well. But you cannot forget the back thighs, and especially the booty cheeks. Just a little bit. Everyone's got to have a little bit of moot on their boot. As you go up the spine, it'll kind of emphasize that like there's an energy growing on in the inside of them. And, you know, speaking of him, we should probably give him a name. This goober here kind of reminds me of a lot that character in Ghostbusters, so I think I'm going to call this one Slimer. Now that we've got our first color, we are going to start with a highlight of the bubbles here with the phalanx yellow. Phalanx? Phalanxius. Again, just emphasizing that radiated bubbles of gross cysts and oozing grossness of yellows. Yeah. And of course, we're going to start off with the brightest parts of the body, which are going to be the eyeballs. These eyeballs are, I guess, super irradiated. I don't know how you can see. Maybe you can even see in the dark. Now, rad ghouls in the games are a bit stronger than regular ghouls in the sense of whenever you fight them, they do hit you with their melee strikes. They actually do increase rads as well, making it to where you can't regenerate that AP as much. And whenever you're painting, you gotta make sure to keep a steady hand. These bubbles are kind of hard to tell between each other, especially since it's all kind of like a muted tone, because that primer was a little bit more thicker than I thought it was. But as we finish up these bubbles here, actually I think I might as well add a couple more. You never go wrong with bubbles. There was this one time in kindergarten whenever I was out in the playground. I decided that on this hot, sunny day, near the start of the school year, I would climb up this little rock climbing tent, and then slide down a pole, a red hot pole, in the middle of the afternoon, on a hot summer day. And yeah, it was not a good idea. And honestly, by the end of the day, my arm looked a lot like this guy. Now, next I'm going to kind of mute the yellow shade that I added by kind of adding like a dry brush and kind of mix it into that still wet green. This is going to kind of add like a glowing area around the bubbles. And with that, we'll add another bit of that yellow because it is a layer, and the layers of the Citadel color are a bit thin, as it might suggest with the layer. So we're going to first add off this little, I guess you can say, radiated area by making it a tiny bit brighter, especially on the face as well, because I noticed that some of the highlights lost just when I was holding it by the face. Not a very good idea to hold your miniatures by your face, or anyone. Don't hold people by their faces. It's not a good thing to do. Now that we got that detail, let's get a couple of more details, especially in the face. Now, while I was painting, obviously, I lost some of the details of the face, so I'm hoping to be able to get it back as I paint in the eyeballs and the bubbles around the face, and obviously the highlights of the cheeks, the nose, and the chin. You can also see that highlight working in effect. And again, just polishing up those areas around the bubbles to highlight the cysts and boils from this irradiated ghoul. Now that we are done with the details, we gotta work on the next part of the miniature, which isn't just the main body and stuff, but it is actually the base plate. This miniature came with one that has some interesting parts of it. Now we're going to add on a wash using this orc flesh green. We're just going to basically paint in the areas that we missed last time, over the armpits and under the legs, to kind of emphasize those shadows and those deep points of where light just isn't emitting. Also trying to get those deep areas of the face. And as we paint off the darker areas around with that lovely orc flesh green, we also try not to get paint on the base plate, because that is what we're going to be doing next. If you were to ask me how old this ghoul is, Slimer here, he'd probably be a little bit over 200 years old. I think that he was way before the bombs fell. Maybe he could have known Roy Phillips or Jason Bright. As we work on this base plate, we're going to be adding some rat skin flesh as the main coat, some accents of base, morn, fang, brown, some classic Corax white, and some Black Legion. Let's start with a coat of rat skin, just along the top part. Every good base plate needs a little bit of coat of rat skin with some highlights of the Corax white and all of the detailed areas. We got like cinder blocks, rocks, and some bottles that somebody left, which we're going to be painting with this green ooze that will be emanating from the footholds of our irradiated Slimer. Just like the miniature, we're going to basically be doing that moot green as our main color, kind of blending it into that rat skin flesh. And then we're going to be adding some of that phalanx, phalanx, yellow as little dots. bottles. The last thing this base plate needs, besides some shading here around the rocky area and off here to the edge as well, the only thing that we need left is to add a nice lining of that Black Legion. And whenever we do that, it will be a finished base plate. But although it will take a while to paint that Black Legion, we can still continue the details here. I'm using some of that wash that I showed of the oak flesh to kind of make like an outline around the irradiated folds around the feet. And I'm kind of like mixing it with the moot green, kind of blending it in towards the middle, and it will have this cool effect of like a reverse shadow. And as we dial up some glue here for his little bitty footholes, we can glue Slimer here to the base for the last finishing touch, which is that black outline. As you can see, as the paint has set, it's looking pretty good. Got the brighter yellow areas, the darkened area with the moods and oak skin flesh. And with that outline, I think it's on to the glamour shots. I want to thank you guys all for watching, and in the next part I will be painting this little ghoul, the little ghouly ghouly ghoul, ghouly 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 ghouly.